Hi there. In this edition of Mapping to Iris, I would like to go over the basics of PDF fields. It's good to know how all the PDF fields work and how they correspond to Iris. So right now I'm showing you an example of a simple bank form that one of our banks wants us to fill out. And you can see that here are the fields. These are typical text box fields. And how you can create a text box field, how you can create other types of fields is simply cracking open the PDF by hitting prepare form. What you can do is you can go up to the top menu bar here, and this icon allows you to create a text box. And all you have to do is drag and drop it to where you want it to go. You can manipulate it as such, like so, by hitting the corners and the edges, these little dots. And you can name it whatever you want to name it. Something like that. And the other things that you can do is you can make it visible or hidden or not printable. The most common status state, form field state, is visible. That's what you're going to do. You can make it read only. You can make it required. And you can do all of this. The thing about it is when you're mapping to Iris, making it read only and required isn't going to affect the mapping from Iris, because whatever Iris essentially overlays the information onto the text field. So regardless of the rules that you have in place in the text field, it will just write on top of it. So in 99% of the cases, you're just going to have a regular text field like this. You're just going to have the nomenclature you want within Iris, and you're just going to make it visible. One of the most important tabs here is the font size. Because in many documents, you're going to have various font sizes. And if you're just copy and pasting, for example, let's just say that you're creating these text fields and you're creating a bunch of them, or you're copy and pasting fields to fill up blank spaces within the PDF. What'll end up happening oftentimes is you're going to have fields that have various font sizes. And let me show you as an example how that works. So you'll see that that's a larger font size, that's a smaller font size, that's even smaller. You could see that the entire document has various font sizes. And in most cases, it's not going to be that big a deal, but just for the aesthetic value, you kind of want to have all the fonts as uniform as possible. And at the same time, one of the big problems that you'll come across is you'll have these very short fields, text box fields, and you'll have them with large font. And so oftentimes the words that are within the font, as you can see right here, are cut off. So when this document gets printed out, it's going to be printed out cut off. So how do you rectify that? How do you fix that? it's very easy. What you do is you literally just select the entire all the fonts that you want to make a uniform. Okay? You're going to right click on one of the fields, you're going to go to properties, and you're going to go to appearance. And you could already see that not only do the font sizes vary, but the actual font itself varies. And so, just for aesthetics, you want to make sure everything is uniform. So what you do here is you just click on the font size and you go to auto. You click on the font itself and you could just pick a font that you like. So let's pick Cambria. And just like that, everything is uniform. And what it does is it fits it to the text box. What auto does is auto fits whatever value is in the text box to the text box. So say for example, if you have a very short text box, like you have a very, very, very short text box, what auto does is it fits the text within the box so that all of the entire value of the data that's in the text box fits within it. So if you have these really small, short text box fields, and sometimes the merchant might describe something a little bit more than he should, it'll make sure that it'll fit. And that's very important. So another really key feature within the text box is the options value. And the options value is the options feature is really important if you're looking to hard code data within the text box. So say for example you want to have a field that is hard coded with a certain piece of information. Okay, one of the most common ones are bank rates and bank fees in particular. So say for example this field was a PCI compliance fee. And let's say that PCI compliance fee is a monthly fee. The bank says, you know what, I want to charge $10 for this fee. If you put the value of $10 within this field, it will actually hard code this value within this text box. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to first delete all of this, and I'm going to go ahead and redo this so that it appears. Okay, and there you go. So what'll happen is you won't map this field to Iris. It'll just simply be a hard-coded field. And so that on every application, it will be this rate. And what you could even do is, if you really, really want to, you could even lock this field so that people can't change it. People can't manipulate it or change it. I mean, you could do that, but it's not really necessary. So those are all the key features of creating a text box. Another very, very common field that you're going to see all the time is the checkbox. And a checkbox, if you want to create a checkbox, just simply go to your toolbar and hit this checkbox, and boom, you have a checkbox, and you can name it whatever you want. You can name it anything you want, and then you can crack it open to look at the properties within it. The most important item in the checkboxes is the options tab, and here you can pick how you want the box to be filled, with a check, with a circle, a cross, diamond. A check is usually just fine. But the most important value in this tab is the export value. In order for you to map this checkbox to Iris, you need to have this value as yes. And oftentimes, when you crack open a PDF that was given to you by the bank, this will be no, or this will be some other value, but it has to be yes in order for it to be mapped to Iris. Another really, really key feature is this little checkbox right here called checkbox is checked by default. Now, let's say, for example, that you have a checkbox in your PDF form that you want to always have checked. Let's say, for example, a really common one that most have just automatically checked is the question that's accepting Visa cards. Obviously, when it comes to credit card processing, Visa is probably the most important card type that you always want to have. So if you want to always have it selected, you could just click this checkbox and close it, and you'll see that it will always be checked off on every single application. So it's little things like that that you want to ask yourself when you're mapping a PDF. Do I want to just hard code an answer, or do I want to just allow Iris to answer it for you? So it takes a lot of common sense and a little bit of logic to get to that. The other really common field type that you're going to be working with is called a radio button, and that's right here. You can create one. Now, a radio button is very, very similar to a checkbox. And Iris has the ability to map to a radio button. And because a radio button is very, very similar to a checkbox, what you want to do is this radio button choice, you want to put in there yes, just like a checkbox. And if you want to have it automatically checked by default, you can click this box and that'll be done. And essentially it's the same as a checkbox, but I'd say 99% of the times I choose a checkbox over a radio button, just because checkboxes are easier, and another very, very common field type that you're going to see a lot of is the digital signature field type. Now, Iris can populate a digital signature field, but it's only going to populate it with just standard text. It's not going to sign it, Iris does have the ability to sign digital signatures onto a digital signature text box. However, the problem is 99% of the banks out there do not accept digital signatures. They want wet signatures. But it's good to, you're going to see a lot of these digital signature boxes, but and so, you know, it's good to know a little bit about them. And those are the most common fields that you're going to see, and those are also the most common ones that you're going to work with. And I'm going to show you a full MPA from one of our banks. And like I said before, a very good tip for mapping these PDFs is once you've gone through and you've mapped all the fields in the PDF, and you're ready to upload the PDF into Iris to map it to Iris. The one thing that I would recommend is for you to select all the fields within the PDF and right click, go to properties, and go to appearance, and make sure that all the font sizes are auto. Because that's really really key. You know, you want to make sure that all the data appears, and just going through the entire document to make sure that that's the case is something that you want to just do as a good practice, because it will make your life easier, trust me. And that's it for this video. Thanks for tuning in.